feel like we just did this. Did we not just do this? 1 week ago, I swear to you, we just had a talk. That's right, because it's Sonic Weekly, the show that's every 7 days or so about Sonic the Hedgehog and associated interests, whereas with friends. And my name is Grant, with you as usual. And here he is, the impresario of the 32-bit and expanded generations. It's Bo. Hi, Bo.
Catch a rising star. Hey, I'm happy to be talking about Sonic with friends.
And he's the star of the show, Out of the Shadows, Into the Spotlight. It's David the Lurker. Hello, David.
Whoa, hi, Grant. Hi, Bo. Yep, that's right. Catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Why a rainy day? I don't know. I guess, why save it for the day? Don't you want to wait till the night? Because that's when you see stars. So...
Catch a rising star. We've got a guest this week who is also the newest member of Team Sonic Weekly. We shouted him out as an editor the last 2 weeks. And now here he is making his debut as a guest. It's Altsynth. Hi, Altsynth.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. As I've said before, it's an honor to be included among the pantheon of Sonic Weekly guests.
It is an honor for you.
I didn't have enough time to think of a cool Ristar catchphrase. It is.
A good Ristar catchphrase is don't be too greedy.
That's
when you're
that's good.
When you're because the greedy is the main villain and the final boss of Ristar or Ristar. Which is it? Oh boy!
No, you had it. You had it right.
I think here's I think it's like the game is called Ristar. The character is called Ristar. And what he lacks is Ristar.
Ristar. All right. I thought his catchphrase was...
Okay, wait, can we walk that back real quick?
Sure, yeah. Where do you want to go?
I mean, like, can you, like, explain, like, so his...
The game is called...
Ristar. The guy is called Ristar. And what he lacks is Rizstar.
Right.
Because the kids, they're always talking about the Riz.
The Riz thing went right over my head. I apologize. I was thinking wrists. Like, no, I think he has wrists.
What?
He's got wrists for days.
Are you not? I mean, aren't you hip with the kids and their slang and their talking?
I've heard about it before, but I'm too busy playing one of the best Sega Genesis games ever released.
Do you have a TikTok?
I do. I don't actively post, but I do have a TikTok.
Oh,
wow. Well, we're going to, the way this show usually goes for anyone who's just joining us for the first time is we're going to cover the Sonic news. We're going to check in with Rings of Saturn. We're going to get to know Altsynth, and we're going to talk about Ristar, Ristar, Rizstar. We're going to talk about it all. But we're going to start with the Sonic news. David, lead us off. What is the top story of the day, of the week?
Whoa, the top story of the day, the week, the month, the year. Well, maybe not the year, but look, here we are. We're opening it up. Of course, we steal all our news. I mean, we read the news directly from unknown friend of the show, sonicstadium.org. Top story. You like Sonic, and you like him in movies.
Sure.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, the trilogy, like, we know it's made over $1 billion, and everyone's excited. Because 2027 is going to give us Sonic 4. But what if I were to tell you that we're supposed to get another...
There's more.
We're supposed to get
Sonic more after Sonic 4.
That's right.
Is it Sonic 4 Episode 2?
Hopefully.
Okay, so
that would be brilliant.
Let's just jump straight to it, which is like, there's only a few possibilities of what this could be, right? So it's untitled. I'm sorry, David, I'm taking the words right out of your mouth, but I'm so excited because of what Bo said.
Yeah.
So there's a few possibilities, which is like, okay, so is it Sonic 4 Episode 2? Because they've done it. They did Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They know about the titles. And if they want it to be like a two-parter, that's not uncharted territory.
No, it's not. Reported by Variety, what they're calling it is a Sonic Universe event film. So they're not outright saying, oh, this is Sonic 5. They're not even saying it's Sonic 4 Episode 2.
Right.
Calling it a Sonic Universe event film. I know that in the past they've talked about like wanting to approach the Sonic series in a sort of like Marvel way, in like, hey, it's not just a bunch of movies called Sonic 1, 2, and 3. They've dipped their toe in with the Knuckles show.
The cast talked about the Knuckles and Shadow spinoff they wanted to do. And then I think it's always been rumored since the Sonic 2 end credits that there would eventually be a Shadow spin-off movie.
Right.
So it's like you've got Sonic 4 Episode 2.
I think that's the smart money Smart money is Shadow spin-off movie. Second choice is actually the fourth movie is 2 parts.
Right.
And maybe the dark horse is a parallel animated feature.
I've got a dark horse for you. It could be animated. I got a dark horse for you. This is my curveball.
Okay.
Because in that same story on Variety or Deadline, they're talking about how the producers of the Sonic movies are also going to be doing a live action reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So here's what I'm saying to you. Why it's Batman v Superman. It's Sonic v Turtles Dawn of Justice. And they're going to launch the Turtles. Why couldn't the Turtles New York be the Sonic New York? There's no reason you can't have aliens and mutants. They can all work together, man.
I can't think of any reason why that wouldn't be true.
Right. Now
at this point.
That would be quite an interesting, right? Because the Ninja Turtles project that you mentioned, it has a date. They're like November 17th, 2028. This Sonic Universe event film, December 22nd, 2028. It comes out a month after. So
yeah,
that's not
unlikely.
Is it? Or could it be, here's the Turtles film and the post-credit scene is Sonic walking into New York and he trips into a sewer. Like,
yeah. And so then here's the problem with that though, is like, if that Turtles movie is a stinker, then you just attached this huge anchor to your otherwise successful Sonic franchise.
It's not the first time you've attached a stinker version of the Ninja Turtles to another franchise. Need I remind you of the Next Mutation Power Rangers in Space crossover from the 90s?
You do need to remind me because I don't remember that, and I didn't know that existed until now. So thank you.
Yeah. After
I've only seen the screenshot of the Turtles and the Power Rangers shaking hands.
Yeah. I guess that's the biggest thing because there's 5 Rangers, and for the Next Mutation there were 5 Turtles because that introduced Venus de Milo. So it was like, ooh, 5 and 5, ain't that cool? And the Turtle show was canceled after a season, and the franchise went dormant for a few years until the 2003 cartoon or the
Turtles were a thing that I loved a lot in childhood. Probably, at a similar level of passion as Sonic, but it just didn't continue on in the same way. I didn't really get into the future Turtles shows. Like, I liked the first 2 movies a lot. That third movie was very disappointing. Even as a kid, I recognized that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 sucked ass, so to say. And so I didn't really keep up with it. But I did always think that Sonic and Turtles seemed like natural, like, cousin franchises. And it's kind of crazy that it's not until this upcoming DLC with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds that the Mutant Mayhem version of the Turtles will cross over with Sonic for the first time.
Right.
And the Turtles are crossover fiends. They crossed over with Batman. They crossed over with the Power Rangers, like you said. They're in the Nickelodeon kart racers and fighting games.
This is actually the first time.
They were crossing over with Sonic on my doodles all the time.
They met Garfield back in the 80s before Nickelodeon bought them and before Nickelodeon bought Garfield. And
that's right, because they helped us to not take drugs
in
the 90s.
Yeah, we were just talking about how
they were in that thing.
They didn't get permission from Jim Davis to even use Garfield. They just threw him in there anyway.
Oh, really?
For the Cartoon All-Stars The Rescue?
Yep. Yeah, he wasn't even aware of it until afterwards. I don't know if he was mad about it or not. I just remember that he wasn't told.
I would like to think he was mad. He's like, of course Garfield just does weed nonstop. Yeah. He hates Mondays and eats lasagna.
Does weed.
Well, and if I remember, he does. Like I was going to say he wouldn't care, but I think he doesn't care. He gets threatened to be eaten by Alf. That's his motivation to help out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, real.
Oh, that's right, because it ties into the animated version of Alf, which of course is the prequel to the live action Alf sitcom, because Melmac still exists. So did he visit Earth, or is that post Melmac destruction Alf wearing a shirt because it's animated?
Well, I was going to say it gets even more complex because I'm pretty sure within the context of that show, all of these characters are fictional to begin with. Like they're cartoon characters coming to life to save you from the marijuana.
Oh, that is true. I forgot the premise of Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. I have watched it. I rented it from Blockbuster. It was one of the free rentals because there was a wall of VHS tapes that you could rent for free. And they were all kids' cartoons, random ones, including that. And also a Where Do Babies Come From cartoon, which was,
wow.
It taught me where they came from.
Educational. Yeah, it's important information.
All right. There's a duck in that cartoon that's very funny.
Daffy Duck or Donald Duck?
No, it's like a rubber duck in a bathtub. And what it is that when the cartoon decides to explain to you the difference between boys and girls, that duck just can't stop staring.
Do we put like a not safe for work bumper here?
Not safe for work.
Oh no, well, I wasn't going to go into any more detail. I can if you want in the extended cut.
Yeah,
there we go.
Right,
subscribe on Ko-fi.
Exactly.
Yeah. Rewinding it back. Right now.
Right.
It seems like Sonic and the Ninja Turtles were always primed to meet in the early '90s because Archie published a Sonic and a Turtles, and they even teased the idea in a couple issues of Sonic where somebody just doodled in the Turtles, and it's like it wasn't an official crossover.
Right, but like Spawn Mower. Although they did eventually cross over with Spawn.
That is true. That is right. Sonic has loved crossovers. The Turtles have loved crossovers. They are now, we are in a crossover heavy world.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is like
a cross world, you could say.
A cross world. Right. I don't know what to expect of this live action Turtles that they're prepping. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like because they were supposed to make a live action Last Ronin Turtles movie, and that seems to have been shelved for the foreseeable future because the new owners of Paramount didn't want the first live action Turtles movie in over a decade to be R-rated.
Here's my pitch for the Turtles movie. We'll see if this comes true. I mean, I have no ability to make this happen or anything, but okay. So it should be the Henson puppets again. And if they do cross over with Sonic,
that's what I'm saying. Practical effects.
Then they look a little different. Then you've got the guy in the suit and you've got the CGI Sonic. And then here's my big twist on what makes it a little different is I'm done with the Master Father Splinter. All the Master Father stuff. It's a little culty to me. I don't know. It's maybe quasi-religious. Something about it's like, and I feel like they did it well in various interpretations. And I like the rivalry with Shredder. But here's my pitch: is Casey Jones and April O'Neil raise the Turtles? They find the Turtles, raise them, and they're like the parents are like the aunt and uncle. And then Splinter's some other guy. Yeah, it's
Tom and
Maddie.
What? But Splinter, he is their father. Like that's sort of the thing. Like they call him their father because he raises them.
Yeah, but what this posits is, I mean, because the last reboot, Mutant Mayhem, is like, well, maybe he's not even a ninja. They just watch YouTube videos. So I'm saying like,
yeah,
just we've had a lot of Splinter, but the show is not giant lecturing rat in a basement. Like that's not the theme song. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's the fun part. As long as you keep the four bros, like they could learn ninja stuff from Casey and they could learn their morals from April, and then their friend could help them complete their training, and he's Splinter. So, but it's not like Master Father, Master Father, Father, Master Father, the son, Holy Ghost of Splinter.
But then also, if he is training them, wouldn't he be a master? Because it's like, here's a master and here's an apprentice.
Yes, but he's like your teacher. He's not like your priest father guy.
How about Master Ninja from Sonic Frontiers?
Oh, Okay, so now we're continuing to cross over. I see. Huh.
Right.
I forget which one Master Ninja
Master
was.
Ninja in Sonic Frontiers, is
One of the later ones.
He's one of them.
He's not like he's a shape.
Well, he's one of the things on the top of the towers in the DLC. Is that what it is? Or is he one
He's
of
just
the
a
main
guy you
bosses?
fight.
No, one of
okay.
the-
One of the
Guardians.
enemies. That's right. Yep, you're
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Sorry, everyone. I'm a fake
oh.
It
fan.
happens.
I'm afraid you'll have
Master
to leave.
Ninja.
It's
Master Ninja's not like the most memorable face. But anyway, the Turtles and Sonic, they should go together, and that's my crazy pitch, based on my crazy pitch, based on the other crazy pitch, that maybe Sonic and Turtles are crossing over. And if they do cross over, they should be guys in suits. And if they do all of that, then give Splinter a break. Anyway, what else is going on?
That's an interesting take. I guess I'm just reeling. Like, okay, what else is going on? I don't know what the hell's going on. Hey, Legos. That's what else is going. No. We'll talk about Legos later. What are we doing?
What are we doing? Well, what are the Legos? The Legos are a quick story.
The Legos are a quick story. Sonic Racing Crossworlds. That's right. We'll never stop talking about that game. And in fact, the world.
Hey, it comes out on Nintendo Switch 2 tomorrow.
Whoa.
So by the time you're already listening to this, we're playing Sonic Racing Crossworlds on Switch 2, baby.
Oh, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so hey, if you can't get enough and you wish Crossworlds was real, well, Lego has you ready to go. That's right. They're releasing more. They're releasing more Sonic sets, and these tie in directly to Sonic Racing Crossworlds. You can get the Sonic Speedster Lightning for only $9.99. Hey, wait, that's pretty cheap.
And here's the funny part: is the second set, which is Silver and Knuckles. It's just called Silver's car and Knuckles' monster truck.
Oh yeah,
They have names. They definitely have names in the game. It's not just Silver's car.
That caught me off guard.
Just his car. It's just his car.
Yeah, it's like a Prius, and then it's like
It's not even his car. It's his mom's
it's not even
car.
under his name.
No, I guess.
It just has his face.
So yeah, that's
Poor guy.
that's funny. Yeah, and you can get that set for $40. Why is that 4 times as much? Whatever. It's right. The $9.99, 126 pieces for Sonic, $39.99, 378 pieces for Silver and Knuckles. I guess it's because I like Lego, but I really wish Lego was cheaper. It just seems to be more expensive over time. God.
It's everything, baby. Everything these days is more expensive. Comic books, video games are now $70. Everything's wild. Everything's nuts.
It is.
Although video games were $70 in the 90s too, which is insane. And in 90s money.
90s
exactly.
money.
Yeah, that's one of those things I don't have like the full appreciation for, like the cost of a Genesis game. That was all before I had spending power, so I had whatever was available.
Right. Just you were at the mercy of whoever was buying you gifts.
Exactly, or buying someone else gifts who happened to have a Sega Genesis.
You mean like friends?
Like like a friend or a family member.
Did you have family members who had like Genesises?
I did.
Right. We haven't really asked you like what's your usually.
Well, we will. But first, we're covering the news, in which there's
We are
really
covering.
one more news story that you've actually segued into perfectly, because it's about the Sega Genesis and the development of Sonic 1. Mark Cerny said the development was what? What did he say, David?
Oh, right. So recently, Mark Cerny went on a little podcast called. I had the name of it right here. It's called My Perfect Console, which I've never listened to.
Wow, they have a podcast about the Dreamcast?
Yes, and they recently sat down and spoke with Mark Cerny, who is best known today as the lead system architect of the PlayStation 4 and 5, just been working at Sony forever and ever, but he's been working in video games pretty much his entire adult life. Dropped out of college at 17 to join Atari. made Marble Madness at 18, and from there he's hopped from...
Loved Marble Madness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did that. He did that at 18. He invented the ball when he was 18. And yes, he's hopped. He worked at Naughty Dog. He's worked at Sony. He worked at some other places. But hey, you know what? He also he was involved in Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter. But we are focusing on it because he also worked at Sega for a time. He worked at Sega of Japan. He lived in Japan for 3.5 years, and then he moved back to the US to create the Sega Technical Institute. And in this interview, he does talk a little bit about his time at Sega, a little bit about Sonic the Hedgehog. He has gone on record about Sonic before. He was deeply involved in the development of Sonic 2. Most famously is the reason that Yuji Naka was involved in Sonic 2 at all, because, Yuji Naka quit Sega after Sonic 1. So he does talk a little bit about his time at Sega, the stress that he went through, and then also the stress that the Sega people went through. Now, let's see, specifically in this article, right, he says that the development of Sonic was terribly controversial. Why would it be terribly controversial? We're talking about money. That was the big thing, right? What did he say? He said part of the idea there was, let's put much more resources on this project than we usually do. And as I said, what's usual? 3 people, 3 months. So they were going to do, if I remember properly, 3 people, 10 months. They ended up needing 4.5 people, whatever that means, for 14 months. And though it was a success, they blew their budget so badly by putting in a couple of engineers on this that Yuji Naka was just getting yelled at and quit the company. He also mentioned how much money Naka was making $30,000 a year. And because of the success of Sonic 1, he got a bonus, which doubled his salary to $60,000 for that year. But I guess it didn't matter. They gave him a bonus. They still yelled at him. They said that his performance was fine. He quit Sega. He ran away. And soon he got him back. In the full interview, he also does talk about starting up STI, and he tells the story that originally a whole 12 people who worked at Sega Japan were supposed to fly over to Sega of America and start the Sega Technical Institute, but they applied for these O visas, and they were all denied because what they are is that they're meant to be he called them technical expert geniuses, and
also Olympic athletes and Nobel Prize
the best
winners.
Of the best.
Yeah.
And I guess the US, whoever, the US consulate, US whatever, they looked at it and went, these guys are just out of college. They don't qualify. So Sega was blackballed for a time. And that's why they had to scramble and ended up hired a bunch of people. They needed to get them in just to start making their first game, which ended up being Dick Tracy. Yeah, so it is a whole lot of things. I mean,
yeah,
the interview itself, I think, is interesting to listen to, especially if you want to hear from him and get a sense of the early days. He said he had to quit drinking coffee because he was so stressed out and it hurt him. And that the moment he quit Sega, he was able to drink coffee again. Yeah.
Wow.
Now I understand the gravity.
Bo is a coffee fiend is the in-joke there. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of interesting things to unpack. One of the things that reminds me of is that Mark Cerny is, somewhat of an underrated Sonic figure for how important Sonic 2 is to the franchise as a whole. Because he talks about how there wasn't, they essentially got started, he was recruiting Naka and Yasuhara before there was even a green light to do Sonic 2, right?
Yeah. Yasuhara had been slated to go to STI from the beginning, and I guess he was able to get him over eventually. In the interview, he also talks about someone named Yutaka Sugano, who he was the lead on Shinobi. That's who he was. And I guess he went over to America before everybody else, but because STI wasn't starting up, he was just working in a warehouse. So the guy who designed Shinobi also was involved as a he was a producer on Spinball, and he worked on Sonic 2 as well. Like, he was just stuck doing nothing over in America. But yeah, like the whole thing just seemed a little bit of a mess. And Mark Cerny somehow was able to get Naka back. He had Yasuhara. He had 2/3 of the team of the core Sonic team.
Right.
And both Sega of Japan and Sega of America said, don't make Sonic 2 yet. They were actually working on a different game until Christmas. And then when they realized, oh, Sonic just made us bigger than Nintendo in the West, that's when Sega of America went, whoops, actually, could you make Sonic 2? And that's why Sonic 2 is so rushed and why there's like so much that's been on the cutting room floor. So he does talk a little bit about that. The entire podcast is an hour and a half. And so they don't talk about Sega as much as I would like. I would like an hour and a half of just Sega from him.
Well, now we know that he does podcasts.
Mark Cerny, come on the podcast. Just talk exclusively about.
Oh yeah.
Let's just get into all of it because Sonic 2 is like, it's so interesting that without Sonic 2, it's possible that the only follow up to Sonic 1 would just be Sonic CD.
That is true, and
like that's just it,
and that's it,
and then it just ends there. And then it's just like, well, remember Sonic? It was kind of like that game Ristar. It was like cool. It was like a mascot. It's got its fans, and then it just sort of went away. Then that was it. But Sonic 2 was such a hit that it then produces Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, all the like chasing with the spin-off games of Sonic Spinball, which is, taking Casino Night Zone and trying to extrapolate that.
Yeah.
Like you don't really have a Sonic franchise without Sonic 2.
Yeah, it did kind of like set it on a trajectory it was on for like at least a decade after that, if not more, of one project leading kind of directly into another until, they lost their way with the Saturn.
Or they went a different way. They were trying to get away from Sonic. Like from the Naka perspective, he's like,
well, I mean specifically with, so I just mean specifically from the perspective of Sonic, not like Sega as a whole or Sonic Team.
Anyway, so a lot to unpack there, but thanks for the recap on it. David, anything else we want to say on that? I mean, it's like, we'll have to the best thing is just like, we'll just have to get Mark Cerny on the show.
I would love to get Mark Cerny on the show. I would love to talk to him.
Please come on the show.
Because he also mentioned that when he got hired at Sega of Japan in the 80s, to make Master System games, that he was explicitly told not to learn Japanese.
That's strange.
I want to be able to talk about you.
The whole point is that you don't know it.
Right. But then he ended up just learning it on his own anyway, because he couldn't actually function in Japanese society without knowing Japanese.
Yeah, that makes me uncomfortable. The implication
prepare
there.
to get even more uncomfortable because we're going to start interviewing you in just a moment. But I think that wraps up the news. And now it's time to swing over to
Rings of Saturn.
Rings of Saturn this week is making one of our listeners very happy with I'm the Joker, baby. Yeah, that's right. We're covering Planet Joker.
Oh, my.
The shoot 'em up game for the Sega Saturn. This is a Japanese exclusive release, not really well known in the West. And you know what? It's kind of hard, like many shooting games on the Saturn. But fear not, I found the codes for you. You can cheat at this game. You can get unlimited lives. You can get level select. Never before published these codes. I'm the Joker, baby. Planet Joker on the Sega Saturn. Coming to Rings of Saturn by the time you hear this. And, in other news outside the orbit of Saturn, I took a real deep dive into this PlayStation game called Michelin Rally Masters. And what really dug at me about this game is that there's a code on your GameFAQs and your IGN and your cheatcodecentral.com. It says you can unlock all the cars by putting in this one password into the password screen. And you go and put it in, and it doesn't work. And I thought, what's up with this? And so I looked back on the Wayback Machine, back to 2001. Same code, still wrong. Earliest sources, also wrong. Magazines copying it from the internet, also wrong. What's the real code? I dove into this thing. I reverse engineered the system. It's got 3 checksum things to make sure that you type it in correctly. It's got this bizarre scrambling system to make the indexes of the letters work out. And you know what it was? all the people who typed in this code into the internet, they forgot to put the question mark at the end.
Oh, Jeopardy
Missing
rules.
character
Wow.
is found. We found the missing character. You can cheat at this game thoroughly now. Michelin Rally Master fans, get in touch. We found the code.
Wow.
You found it.
It's just a question mark the whole time. The Riddler would be so happy.
That's right. Yeah, there's an air of mystery, and it's very appropriate that it was a question mark at the end.
The Joker and the Riddler. I'm the Riddler baby is the new I'm the Joker baby.
Wow.
So yeah, these things are happening on the Rings of Saturn.
I'm the Joker.
I'm probably going to cover a GameCube game this weekend. Maybe one of these Shrek adaptations. Look out for that.
Oh man.
Okay. And speaking of Shrek and friends who live in the swamp, let's check in with Barry at Sega Bits for what they're doing this week.
Hey Sonic Weekly listeners, Barry from SegaBits here to tell you about a couple of podcasts. On Sega Talk, number 175, George and I look back on the forgotten year of 1998. What was Sega up to during this time of transition? And what would go on to define Sega in 1998? Meanwhile, on the SegaBits Patreon, we have episode 176 of Sega Talk, which looks back on Sonic Drift and Sonic Drift 2. We look at the gameplay, development, and legacy of Sonic's first kart racer. Watch or listen today by visiting youtube.com/Segabits or searching Segabits on your podcatcher of choice. Now, let's open a ring portal back to Sonic Weekly. I just need to picture David in my mind. There he is, I see him. Oh, the ring portal's opening. Oh.
Thanks, Barry. That sounds like a great time. Okay, here we are in Act 3, the second half of the show. And here's how this is going to work. We're going to get to know Altsynth, and that's going to roll us into talking about Ristar. And, as we ask pretty much every guest, and I think this is where David was trying to jump the gun and get to earlier.
Whoa.
Altsynth, please tell us your Sonic origin story. How did you get introduced to the Genesis and or Sonic the Hedgehog? What was that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have a similar experience to previous guest Cybershell, who had a gaming grandmother who owned a Sega Genesis and happened to have a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I don't remember exactly, like she had this prior to me being born, as far as I know. It's been here as long as I have. So I don't know exactly when I got hooked on it, but it was just like a universal constant for me. So she had 2, 3, Spinball, and 3D Blast as far as Sonic goes. And
so the Sega Genesis was at your grandma's house.
Whoa.
Yes. So the only time I was able to play it was at her house.
It's a hip grandma.
And how often are we visiting old Granny?
It was weekly. It was
oh sure.
It was every Sunday.
You live close by.
Every 7 days or so.
Sonic Weekly.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a bonding thing for sure with her, and I think that was kind of why I think she would go to the store and ask the 90s clerk what games to get, because it's like, for the most part, I mean, like it's a pretty respectable library, but like, there's also like some licensed stuff. There was like Cool Spot and Aladdin and Tasmania, but she had Kid Chameleon. Speaking of Mark Cerny, I know he was involved with that. And Ristar, which we will talk about later. But
just to jump the gun here a little bit, Cool Spot and Ristar, they seem like the Ninja Turtles and Sonic of things that should cross over.
Yeah, the things that are just like a shape with arms and legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could see it. A lot of people, for whatever reason, lump Ristar and Dynamite Headdy together. I'm not really sure if I see that. I know that like
I guess because it's like the same time period. Are they both 95?
I don't remember when Dynamite Headdy was. So that wasn't one until I played until much later. But
yeah, let's see. I could look it up real fast.
It was end of 94. So
yes.
So it was within the same. They were in development probably around the same time. But anyway, so from that point on, I was like all into Sonic. One of the big things for me at the time was that, so she had Sonic 3, but not Sonic and Knuckles. So it would be a bit for me until I could actually see the whole thing. I remember going to a rental store and seeing the box art, and it's we all know it's one of the coolest things, the coolest pieces of art ever. And I could just like look at it in awe, but I didn't have a Sega Genesis at home, and I guess it never occurred to me to rent it and bring it over. But it allowed for a moment where I made a friend at some point later in elementary school who did have Sonic and Knuckles, and then we could like actually complete the whole story, and it was a whole, tremendous moment. But
you had to find a friend
exactly
to gain the lock-on technology and combine your powers. That's
exactly
beautiful. It's poetic. It's poetry. It rhymes.
I have like a memory of like we had like a sleepover, and there were like 4 of us like friends. Like I have a memory of us getting to the end of that with all the super emeralds for the first time. Like that's like a core memory I'll think about on my deathbed.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm going to take that one and think about it on my deathbed too. I wasn't even there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I
like
appreciate
a nice
that.
memory.
But yeah, so I didn't have a Saturn. So I ended up getting that Genesis when my grandmother got a Nintendo 64. So she, again, like I don't know what the impetus would be that she would just be at a store and they had a new game console and she would get it. And I mean, it worked out for me. I mean, I think that was just where the ease of access kind of came from. And then so she would get stuck in a game, I would come over and try to help, and then my parents would be like, okay, it's time to leave, and she would yell at them that we'd have to stay because I hadn't gotten her out of like the water temple in Ocarina of Time or something. But anyway, as far as Sonic goes, I didn't have a Saturn or a Dreamcast, because by the time I like had like the awareness to know what new consoles were, I was kind of all in on the GameCube at this point, which ended up working out for me down the line with Adventure 2 Battle and DX, I guess.
Real quick, how should we think about this hip grandma who is the gamer grandma is a, there's not like an existing stereotype to conjure.
Like what she looks like, you mean? I mean, I kind of want to just create a new cool. She's dressed like the owl from the OVA. How about that?
Perfect.
Wearing Sonic's favorite shirt.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I don't know. Like she is a pretty standard old lady, I would think. Otherwise, but yeah, the video game stuff, I would be interested to actually like ask her. She is still around. Unfortunately, was too distracted. She found more entertainment getting into arguments on Facebook than video games. So we've kind of moved on to that point. But
you gotta reintroduce. Maybe she doesn't realize that she can yell about video games. I
tried. I brought the Switch over a couple years ago, and unfortunately, it's kind of just a motor skills thing. With like, it's easier to navigate a touch screen than a controller. But yeah, we had some good times with that. But then once I kind of got out on my own in the Sonic world and got into like the adventure games, I was real into Chow. I was like, so I kind of had limited interaction with like the greater Sonic community. I was sort of like, I guess like if David's home was in the shadows, mine was in the void. Like I was very like, so maybe like early on, like it was like social anxiety of like, oh, I don't want to like talk to people. And then by the time I got older, I just felt like I didn't have anything to add to these communities, but I would just like sat there absorbing all of it. Like your Simon Wise and your Michael Jackson, Brad Buxer things like I was just like in awe, like my eyes, like huge, all this information. But so I was all in up until Sonic Chronicles at that point. I think Sonic Chronicles, I was there for 06. I was there for Shadow. That was the one that broke me. That was the one where I was like, I'm done with Sonic for a bit.
Wow.
Quick question on that. So your grandma, did she play the Sonic games?
The Genesis ones, yes.
She did, really? So Sonic 2 and Sonic 3?
Yeah, absolutely. And Spinball and 3D Blast. I don't know what like.
How would she rank them, do you think?
How would she rank them? I have more memories of her playing 2. So I would think 2 is probably the
good taste
her favorite. I mean, I was going to say it's the objective one here for sure, but yeah, Spinball and 3D Blast, I even remember at the time were like this is cool that this is Sonic, but it didn't get the same attention that 2 and 3 did. But yeah, no, it was definitely, it wasn't one of those things where it was like, oh, we have a Sega Genesis in the back, you can play it. It's like, this was in the living room. Like we were playing this out in public. Like it wasn't just necessarily a thing to get me in a different room.
Listen, I'm so fascinated by it because it's so foreign to like my experience growing up, which is where my grandma, she did play Wii bowling and really enjoyed that, but otherwise like would have never, and certainly would have never had one on her own. And then my mom must have had the NES. Like I don't remember requesting an NES. It was just there from my earliest memories, but she kind of denies that now. She's like, no, we definitely got that for you. I was like, I don't know. I would have been 3 or something. Like, I don't know that I could have said words.
Yeah, my parents were the same way. Yeah, my dad brought home the NES, and it's like, no, you guys bought that to play yourselves.
Yeah, because I kind of remember them seeing it at like an aunt and uncles, and they were like, and so then it was just like, oh, there's this cool new thing to get, quote unquote, for the kids. Mm-hmm. Except like they had war games and football games, and like my mom said she could play Donkey Kong, but
there was also briefly like a Tetris Moms thing, and then of course the Wii Fit, Wii Bowling, also appealed to the mom crowd.
But a grandma who's playing multiple Sonic games is and
Kid Chameleon. I mean, like think about that.
Kid Chameleon,
because like the Sonic stuff, it makes sense, but like in retrospect, like I beat Kid Chameleon for the first time last summer. Like I've been playing that game my entire life, and I've never finished it before then. And my grandmother purchased that game on her own. I would love to have a recording of that entire retail interaction of her going up, and like someone had to have like recommended it to her. How did they sell Kid Chameleon to my grandmother?
Maybe she just thought he was cool.
Those
leather jacket and the shades.
Yeah,
she was just like, whoa, I want to be a chameleon too.
My grandmother got me the Tails stuffed animal, and she told me how difficult it was because nobody believed her that a fox with 2 tails existed.
Oh yeah,
I was just like, yeah, whatever, lady.
Oh.
No, this is a thing that my grandson wants. So she
do you still have it?
Find it. I do.
Yeah, I have mine.
My grandmother told me that when she was a little girl, she got sick, and her father bought her a comic book, and that comic book was Action Comics #1. And then they threw it out after.
No.
And I was like, why would you tell me this story?
Could have been huge. Could have been big time. Could have been living large.
Right. It's like, what do you mean? You just threw it out. She also threw out all of my father's comic books when he moved out of the house. I heard that, and that made me look. It was different because it was a long time ago. Don't worry about it.
What brought you back into the Sonic franchise after Sonic Chronicles knocked you out?
So it's kind of the same story as many around here. So Generations was kind of the first one that I like really came back to and loved. I mean, it was the nostalgia. It was the fact that it was just like a good game. I remember when Colors came out, it got a lot of positive press, if only just because it wasn't unleashed, I guess. I don't know. I remember like it. Yeah. I got it because it got good like feedback, but even then, like I liked it, but I couldn't get into it. It was so removed from what I had been into before, but I went back to it years later and enjoyed it. But at the time it didn't pull me in. But yeah, Generations was great. And then Mania was, the real moment where it's like, okay, I'm reinvested in this. I'm okay with identifying myself as a Sonic fan in public.
So yeah, a path walked by friends far and wide, one of our own. And we could talk Sonic all day, and we do in the Discord. And but you suggested talking about Ristar. Well, first of all, why was Ristar another game that was part of your granny's collection? It
was. So the thing about like of those games that I can remember playing, like it was a lot of Sonic 2 and it was a lot of Ristar. So it's interesting thinking about how for a moment that period of time before I knew what Sonic and Knuckles was and knew what the rest of Sonic 3 was, I think there was a point where I would say Ristar was higher than Sonic in my personal rankings, and ultimately the big advantage Sonic had on him was that he kept getting games where Ristar just had the one. Because for me, like I discovered all these games like around the same time, as far as like, the human consciousness of a child goes. Like, so all of these things existed like equally for me. And like Ristar was just the one that I like gravitated to like among the most. And it stayed that way like my entire life. There wasn't a point where I went back to it and was like, oh, this is kind of rough. It's like every time I play it, it's like this game is a masterpiece.
Wow.
It could just be one of those weird like child things where for whatever reason I imprinted on it, and I thought Ristar was my bomb. It was confusing for a bit.
I think Ristar is one of the best Genesis games, and it's a shame it came out so late in the life cycle, because I think had more people been able to play it, if it was marketed as though it were a tentpole franchise, we could have had 30 more years of Ristar.
Right.
I wonder why there was no Saturn port. Yeah.
Oh.
That is an interesting thing, and I know that it was brought up in the Discord, so I don't want to get to it later, but the idea of like if Ristar kept going, what would the next game have been? And or like the question would be like, is it 2D or 3D? And I'm like, my knee-jerk reaction is that like I want 2D. I want it to be 2D, keep it safe, keep it whatever. But then I had the thought of Evening Star making a 3D game in the vein of Penny with like that level of like movement and momentum, and I think I've like changed my mind. I think I actually kind of want that instead.
Oh,
I would love like the Evening Star take on Ristar would be amazing.
Oh yeah,
that was my thought as well when Daniel May Cry posed the question in the server when we mentioned we were going to talk Ristar, and asked who would you want to do a new Ristar game if there was a new one, and 2D or 3D, and Evening Star came to mind for me as well. But then I thought my real answer is let some things just stay dead.
And that exactly. I agree with that, actually.
Is like such a perfect Genesis game. And for me, it's also like such a 1995 game. It was a rental for me, so I don't have that same level of nostalgia and affection for it. I only just saw to the credits earlier today in preparation for this episode. I got stuck on level 3, then played a little bit on NSO with friend Sam to like scoot the rest of the way and see the rest of the game.
Okay.
Beautiful game. Also, the ending uses the Death Egg sound effect, the gravity sound effect from Sonic 3 Knuckles. That was fun. And it's a cool looking game. It's Evening Star also comes to mind because of how purple it is, and there's a lot of purple in Penny.
That's true. Yeah.
Let me give you a off the wall answer. How about Tribute Games and it's a beat 'em up, and you're grabbing enemies with your big arms over and over and over again. This is what I want to see.
The grabbing mechanics that are used throughout the game are sometimes as cool and clever as you hope they would be. Sometimes they're really it is kind of like a beat 'em up. Like it may as well just be a punch or a throw.
Mm-hmm. He only has like one attack. Ultimately, it's just that body slam. But then the way that like you have to angle it different ways. That's for different enemies. Like you have to come either from like underneath or from above or something. But I think that's what I love about it too, is that ultimately it's like a 2-button game that you're jumping and reaching, and that's it. And just like how you interact with different things, like climbing a ladder, grabbing an enemy, swinging on a pole or something like that.
I also like how you can climb up a wall by just banging your head into it over and over again.
Exactly.
It's such a cool mechanic.
And they expect you to. They have like the little hidden areas where like you hit a certain part and it makes like a gong sound and like an item falls from the sky.
Yeah, that's a very satisfying.
I love that. The sound design in that game is incredible. Like the sound for like picking up an item, like the little gem like jingle noise. Like I had that as a text ringtone in the early 2010s.
Oh, yeah, let's get into the sound, because I think that, to me, is one of the legacies of Ristar, is that soundtrack is mostly by Sasaki Tomoko, worked on Sega and Sonic, and sang on Burning Rangers, real Sega sound star.
Mm-hmm.
But I found a little written piece that she did that I don't think has been published very widely. It's in Japanese for one, and it's on the liner notes of one of the obscure Radio DC CDs. But she talks about the development of Ristar and then the sound design of Ristar. And she says that the team got an important directive from Sega, which was create a game on Sonic's level that will succeed worldwide. And we felt the weight of that responsibility, and at the same time, we were filled with pride at having been chosen for such an important mission. But fast forward a year, and the Sega Saturn's out, but they're developing a Mega Drive game, and they're feeling a little jealous, a little envious of this higher technology stuff like Virtua Fighter. And so they're a little sad. Ristar gets released. People do like it, but it's not the hot stuff. It's not the cool stuff. And, they remember it fondly, but all that's left to her at this moment at writing these liner notes is the music. And the song that they have on the CD is a sort of a reggae pastiche, like a ragamuffin thing with one of the Ristar tunes. It's quite a track.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I haven't listened to that. That was the first time I had heard that that statement. And like I said, it's sad, but I completely understand. I mean, it unfortunately kind of tracks historically.
I always thought it was strange that they put a Ristar song on that CD because it's called Radio DC. You'd think it'd all be Dreamcast music, but then they're like, here's a song from a Genesis game.
And Burning Range is on there. It's
that
just
is true. There's also
speaking of the Dreamcast connection, the other so this has been Sonic adjacent in a few ways. It was in this part of the Sonic Mega Collection for GameCube and PlayStation 2 and Xbox, right? But also Yuakawa was the lead character designer.
That would have been before he did any Sonic.
Yes, and this is like a rabbit hole I went down a few years ago, which is a lot of people lump Ristar in with the rest of the Sonic Team games, and I agree that it's got a lot of DNA, but it's definitely not a Sonic Team game. The team that worked on it didn't think of themselves as Sonic Team. Many of them went on to work on Sonic projects later, but this Mega Collection inclusion, I think, is what makes people think it's one of the Sonic Team titles. And there's certainly stuff reused, there's sound stuff reused, there's engine stuff that's reused, but I do think that they're distinct. And the game that it shares the most staff with is actually Nights into Dreams and then Sonic Adventure, but that's just because those staff credits are really large for those games relative to the Mega Drive games.
They were in the office. They were able to move on.
Yeah.
I guess it's like how there's some staff between Chaotix and Knights where they were like, I guess we're making a 32X game until something better comes along, and something better came along and they all hop ship.
The Ristar team is unique just to Ristar, right? Like they don't go on. It's not like certain staff go on.
It's like journeymen. Yeah.
Right.
They're more working on other Sega stuff.
Oh, I was going to say that like there was also just that rumor, and I don't know if this was ever confirmed by anyone or not. It feels like something someone said once because they thought it was clever, but it actually has no basis in reality. That the design, like the game design, was based on the rabbit from Sonic 1 and picking up items and throwing it. And I'm like, I don't think that's the case.
That was one of those things.
It's just a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because who would have told them? And also, I don't think it plays like how they've described the rabbit.
Right.
It's so far removed, too. Like, it's such a late game compared to when that rabbit would have even been in discussion for Sonic.
Right. I don't know who would have been in the room that said, oh, you should make it like they were going to make Sonic but didn't make Sonic. And then they went, okay, but we still won't make it like they were going to do the rabbit game anyway. So it maybe people just wanted it to be a Sonic Team game. They wanted it to feel like...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. There is the one pre-release screenshot where there's a different design for it when it's Feel. It's not Ristar. And he kind of has like little trailing like ears. They look like bunny ears or something, but like... I don't think many people would look at that and just say, oh, that's a bunny. So I don't know if that was why that was connected or not. But I remember that. I remember that was one of those things in that like late 2000s era of just like this video game secrets that was just like a fact as people told it.
Yeah.
That it was, based on that.
I think I even repeated it as a fact until one day I went, oh, that's all wrong.
One of the things that is a fact, and not just my opinion, is that the parallax scrolling, the various background layers that scroll back and forth in this game are wonderful. And they really do evoke the Sonic backgrounds, which do that as well. Which, Super Mario World, that's not a game with that. That's not a game that does that. It's kind of a specific to showing off the Genesis hardware kind of thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's just like a fun visual thing. The colors, everything about it just screams like this is a game that could only really be on Sega Genesis in this way. It's just like an emblematic of that era. And like the mascot stuff is kind of weird when people sort of are like, oh, he's meant to be more of a mascot, or it's a mascot-y platformer, because there was no effort to like it's hard to imagine, like, just to spoil the ending, which I guess is different in the Japanese version, but in the version that we had, the arms of the father reach down and welcome little baby Ristar. It would be a weird animated series, I guess, is what I'm saying.
It's interesting that they did change the story. From the Japanese version is the residents of planet Flora. I think even that is a different name in Japanese that I can't remember. Greedy is attacking. His little minions are mind controlling all the planet leaders, and the last planet makes a last minute prayer to the star goddess Oruto, who awakens one of her children, who is Ristar, who goes to save the day. In the American version, there is no star goddess. It's just them praying to the hero, which is Ristar's dad, who is presumably a big Ristar, according to the. You only see his arms in the last scene, but he's just because big stretchy arms.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a huge celestial being. He's more gigantic than a galaxy, but he's just Ristar on a really big scale.
Yeah.
Which one do you like more of those two stories?
So it's funny because I grew up with the American one, and then for a while I found out about the Japanese one, and then it's like, well, I like this because this is how they originally intended it, and like they had that whole pretentious phase. But I think I like them both ultimately at this point. I kind of wish that they were both true. Like I like that they do have like a sprite for the star goddess. In the beginning when they're praying, it kind of has a semi-transparent flicker in front of the nebula, and then that's just removed in the American one. And I don't know why they changed it. I don't know if it was just one of those marketing decisions that like little boys don't like goddesses or something. I don't know, but
speak for yourselves.
But they love
exactly.
They love stars because they are.
Zelda's got goddesses. What are they? Who knows? But I mean, they do seem to kind of work together. It's like the goddess and the father and the splinter.
Yeah, exactly.
It all.
Right.
Yeah.
The splinter. Yeah.
What's another weird localization is in the winter level, the boss in the Japanese version is a cat, and in the American version he's just kind of like an ice monster.
Yeah.
And you're like throwing food into the cat's mouth, and in the Japanese version there's like some saying that if you don't like spicy food you have a cat's tongue, and so it makes sense there, and Americans don't get it, so we're going to change it to an ice monster. But I feel like I would have just gone with it.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting one because, that was just a straight up Japanese idiom that just doesn't make sense here. I don't know if that was a correct use of the word idiom or not, but in the American one being that he's an ice monster and like, okay, you throw hot soup in his mouth and it makes sense that he wouldn't like that. But see, that's the thing though, that is, I never understood, is that in his like idle animation, he opens his mouth to eat what is like looks like a little candy thing. And I think it's because it's supposed to be the opposite of spicy. Like he's eating sweets. He likes sweets. He doesn't like the spicy curry or like soup or whatever. And so that doesn't make as much sense. I guess, he's an ice monster who enjoys candy.
Well, I also was wondering too, because like there's like the balls with eyes, the little black balls with eyes that are the villains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that are taking over people's other creatures' minds.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
but also isn't Ristar just sort of like a little black ball with eyes, and he's just got like the star over his face? Like does the star... Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does kind of have that. It's sort of like that whole like Meta Knight is a Kirby kind of thing. I don't know if there is like an implication of that.
No, but also it's been pointed out by a lot of people and I think it's like this feels like the Sega Kirby game.
Yeah, and even more than just the star motif, I think it's completely true, because like if you compare this to like Kirby Adventure, which was an incredibly late release on the NES, it like pushed the console like to its absolute limits. I mean, like Kirby even like lags for how hard they're pushing it. And it is like a masterpiece in its own right. Yeah. I mean, Kirby's Adventure wasn't the first Kirby game, but yeah, I definitely see the connection there.
Right.
And even with them, Ristar got the Kirby treatment where his idle animation for every level is switched to the like what was normally the boss idle animation where he looks angry and pumped up. They just made that his idle animation for everything for America, so you knew that he was a real
they really
tough guy.
cranked up the attitude on both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, including the fact that on the American box art he has 4 eyebrows. I guess it's like the forehead wrinkles, but it's
that's how you know he's not from Earth.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Although not in the Japanese artwork, he just has 2 eyebrows, normal amount of eyebrows.
Yeah,
that's a Greg Martin in the US, right?
I believe so.
He's got the
Sega smirk. Exactly. Yep. It's like before the DreamWorks face existed, there was the Sega smirk, which was just the Greg Martin Sonic face.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody should like apply that to like the Mona Lisa or something. Just like apply that face everywhere as a filter. That like smirk with the side eye and the cheek. It's a look. Yeah.
Maybe the cover should have just been the title screen. Like the title screen should have been the cover.
Yeah, it's a beautiful title screen.
Yeah,
right. Because even with the 4 eyebrows, he doesn't really scream attitude extreme. It just sort of
he's a sweet.
I don't know,
sweet kid.
As a kid, when I was a child, I never registered Ristar's existence. You know, I was 110% in on Sonic and was aware of other Genesis games, but Ristar, I did not realize it existed until way after the fact.
God bless you for saying Ristar. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna ride Ristar out with you too into the sunset.
Yeah, I know Ristar. Right.
I was gonna say I'm glad that we've been dropping them interchangeably throughout this podcast, and I think that's the correct answer.
I was a Ristar person growing up, but at some point I read those liner notes that I mentioned earlier, and that it like makes it very clear it's not Ristar, so I switched.
It's Ristar. Yeah. So in Japanese.
Yeah.
It's spelled out for now. Okay.
Ristar like risotto.
Like risotto? Yeah.
I like risotto too.
So maybe if it had a different cover, I think also maybe like looking at it, it kind of gives me, you know how in that period, the Sega started releasing like, it was like the Sega Kids Club games, you know, like Bonkers.
Sure.
And
Wacky
it was under a
Worlds.
certain,
Loved Wacky
right.
Worlds.
So it was under a different branding. So the cover looked a bit more kid-like, you know, like Echo Jr. as well. I think in my mind, if I ever saw Ristar or whichever,
perfect.
I think I just threw that game in the same group of, this game is coded younger than me, even though I am still a child at this point. I'm not even a teenager, but I still was like, I'm too cool for that. And maybe they just didn't market it in the right way for it to gain the following here.
You're definitely right. It's a game that is a day late and $1 short. It's like kind of just, it's not particularly cool. It's beautiful and very interesting, but it's not cool. And it's like on last generation hardware, and it's just not, it's a 2D side scroll. It's just not what was it's like it's only several months before Super Mario 64 is about to come out.
Insane. Yeah.
Right. So, right. In Japan, it was released February 17th, 1995. The US, it looks like it was just released at the beginning of the year. So there was still a little bit of time, but that is post-Christmas. So if it had come out in November of 94, that would have been like, we can push this for Christmas, even though
but
I guess
that's the Sonic and Knuckles time.
That's the Sonic and Knuckles time. So you don't really want to cannibalize your Sonic sales. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
From one angle, but then it just leaves poor Ristar out to dry.
I had one thought about it, because like in my head, I was going to ask, like, is Ristar cool? Because in my head, he is, like, just like the way that the sprite is portrayed, that he's like a cool, like Limburg, like whatever guy, cool star guy. But it was funny that a while ago I made like a dumb little Ristar video as like a COVID project, and I told my wife about it, and she was like, "Oh, is that game about that chubby little star?" I was like, chubby little star. No, this is Ristar. You must be thinking of something else. And like, but you know what? And then you think about the way he looks in Racing Transformed, and it's like that looks weird to me. It's weird to see a 3D Ristar because that's not like how like he feels in my head, if that makes sense. Right. Playing like the 2D.
One little bit of trivia. Do you know where Ristar appears on Dreamcast?
I do not. I'm seeing this image, but I have not seen it before.
It's Sega Gaga, the weird meta RPG about running Sega, a failing Sega that appears on the Dreamcast as Sega's failing.
Oh, wow.
But it's got Ristar, Astal, Clockwork Knight, and Alex Kidd all teaming up.
Those are the like Avengers.
Excellent.
Of
quasi mascots.
They do meet up with Sonic at some point
Sega.
In the game.
I would play a game with the four of them.
There should be a cartoon All-Stars, but it's the Sega All-Stars mascots, and they're trying to convince
the B team.
Oh no, Ristar wants me to stop smoking weed.
Exactly.
He wants you to start.
He wants me to start.
Yeah.
He wants you to start.
They're pushing.
Play with me. Yeah.
That's their supplemental income. You know?
Yeah. A little Blaze the Cat.
Man, I love Sega.
Right, she's the one who owns the operation.
Is there any last Ristar thoughts from each of us? I'll just say that it's a very cool game. If the character is cool, it's to a different pair of eyes than mine. I don't think he's very cool. I think he's classical. He's like good, but he's not like Spot is cool, and that's why they call him Cool Spot, because he's got sunglasses. If this was a star wearing sunglasses, the cool factor I think would be there. But for me, this is more of a character that's
I hate that I agree with you.
That is like I appreciate, but he's very wholesome. That's the word I'm looking for. A very wholesome character. So I like Ristar or Ristar in whatever form.
He has like an innocence to him.
Yeah. Bo or David, what do you guys think?
I'll say I would have liked Ristar to have been postponed and made a Saturn project. I think if it was given the Astal treatment, still a 2D game, but given that extra Saturn sprite pushing power, it would have looked awesome.
100%.
And it might have had a better chance in Japan.
Yeah.
Because people in Japan bought the Saturn. Over here, no, who knows? It probably would have been exactly the same. But at least I'll agree with you. Or they could have done like an expanded port on the Saturn.
Yeah, they did a downgrade for the Game Gear. Let's do an upgrade.
Yeah, I only played that for the first time a couple years ago too. It was a better experience than the Sonic Game Gear games, at least the ones I had. two and Spinball, I think.
Let's start a campaign. Let's convince Sega to make the Saturn version of Ristar now.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
They're not doing anything else. Right? What are they doing?
Or they could knock out one of the other things they're bringing back and just replace it with Ristar.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody would understand. All of these repressed fans.
Streets of Rage 5 and replace it with Ristar 2.
Yeah.
Here I am. That is the subtitle. Here I am. But he gets to fly, and I always thought that was cool. He flies in space.
Yeah, I love the level transitions in that game.
I like that it says wonderful.
Well, yeah, it has a different like exclamation depending on how many points you get. So it'll be like wonderful or excellent or like fantastic or something. It's like that kind of like video game thing that just like makes you feel good.
Well, I like it better than like completing a level and then getting a C, which some games do.
Exactly.
Some Sonic games will do it of like, finally I got past this level, and then it's like, you suck, you piece of shit. Wah, wah. Unleashed is the best one. It's so funny on Unleashed. So funny.
With the marching band.
You shouldn't have even bothered. You should have turned off the system and gone home.
Okay. I think we could talk Ristar for another episode, and maybe we will, but I think we'll probably wrap it here. Altsynth, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the team for the edits and for sharing your enthusiasm for both Sonic the Hedgehog, but also Ristar and sharing some fun family heirlooms with us, which is Sega memories.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm ecstatic to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing the 2026 year of Sonic with you all, and looking forward to the ride.
Hell yeah.
Whoa. Oh, Right. I guess we are at the end of the show. But I did just want to mention very quickly. I won't spend too long on it. Before it's the final end. I just wanted to mention that one of our own. Not a Sonic Weekly person, but let me start over. Like I don't have anything planned because I found out just yesterday. I know nobody else here knew him, but Nick Thorpe, who was a retro gamer. He worked on the Retro Gamer magazine in the UK. He was a writer. He was a features editor. We found out yesterday that he passed away. This is December 2nd. He was only 38 years old. I've known him for quite a while because he actually, way back in the day, was part of Sonic Retro. And, he joined up. He was a Sonic fan. He ended up writing on the front page. He would write articles. He lived in the UK. But then eventually he was like, I can't write anymore on the front page. I got a job. I got a writing job for Retro Gamer. And everyone was very excited for him. And he's been there for the last decade. So if you ever read anything from that magazine, it was published over here in the United States as well. It was usually a month behind, but if you went to a Barnes & Noble, you could pick it up. If it has Sonic on the cover, more than likely he was the one who wrote the article about Sonic. He did some great pieces about Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic Adventure, interviewing the people behind it, all about, the behind the scenes. And there were always very good, well-written pieces. He definitely knew his stuff and he knew how to get it out there. It always read very well. He was also instrumental in a few years ago, January 2021, when the Sonic 1 prototype was released. He was in contact with all of that. He even wrote a piece about its discovery and the authentication of it. It wasn't just Sonic that he wrote about. He wrote about plenty of things. He also did if you just look up any article that he wrote, any main feature, you're in for a good time. I guess it would also be remiss of me to not mention that he also, in that magazine, wrote an article about friend of the show, Barry, about him being a Sonic collector. We've talked to Barry. We've talked about his collection. Nick, because Nick also wrote for Sega Bits back in the day. Yeah, so he was a fan. He wrote on fan sites. He graduated to the big leagues. Retro Gamer is still like one of the video game magazines that continues to exist and seems to be pretty safe in its place when a lot of other magazines in the field just have vanished because print media isn't as big as it used to be. I didn't talk to him as much later on, but he was still, he was still around. Sometimes we'd share a word. He was still also big in the UK in the Sonic scene. He even showed up at the SonicCon UK that happened a couple months back, and it just sort of came out of nowhere. It was a bit of a shock because there was no sense that anything was wrong. But all we know is that it was of natural causes.
No, it's very sad. I enjoyed reading his stuff as I got back into retro gaming. He followed me on social media and looked at the stuff I posted, and I enjoyed his stuff too. It's very sad. If you look online with the announcement from his editor at Retro Gamer about his passing, it's just page after page of people lamenting his loss. And we did the same.
He was one of the good ones. I mean, you can't find a bad word about him in any of these responses. People liked him. People liked his work. He also streamed on Twitch sometimes. Like, I think his last Twitch stream is still hiding out on Twitch. If you look it up, of course, I can't think of his Twitch name at the moment. Whoops. But it's pretty. I don't know. Because it just happened. It's not like I really sat down and collected all my thoughts, but I just felt like I had to mention it because he comes from the same place that we have sort of come from, that early fandom, and he's done a lot when it comes to, writing about the history of not just Sonic, but of retro video games as a whole. And I think it's pretty fair to say that he's going to be missed. And, just thinking about him. And wishing well his family as they go through this time. So I think that's all I got to say. I know we're up on time. Yeah. So, yeah. After all that, hey, guess what? This is the end of the show. This is the proper end of the show. The show about Sonic the Hedgehog. It happens once every 7 days or so. That's why it's called Sonic Weekly. And, if you need something in your ears every week and you haven't done so yet, I would suggest you strongly that you subscribe to this podcast using your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for the Android faithful, Podcast Addict. Whatever app or service you use, you can, give us a rating, give us a review. It helps us out. It helps whatever magical algorithm that floats out there. It's a cool time. But if you reject all podcatchers, and I don't blame you if you do, we're also over on YouTube at Sonic-Weekly. You can like, comment, subscribe. Whoa! And hey, our voices are joined as always by video game footage recorded by friend of the show,
Altsynth.
I bet Ristar was playing during this episode. I wonder if he got to the end. Did he play the Japanese version? Was it the American version? Was it both? Is he tricking us? I don't know, because it hasn't happened yet. We're still recording the episode. Whatever. Look, if you want to reach out, we have an email address. SonicWeeklyPodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you think of the show, what you want us to talk about. Just whatever you feel like. You have a chili dog recipe? Send it over. And email is how you get a link to our Discord server. Just ask for it. We'll send it over, and soon you'll be talking to some like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans about many things, up to and including Sonic T. Hedgehog. Yeah. And if you're able to manage it, we're also over on Ko-fi. That's right. If you're able to, you can throw something into the tip jar, or for $5 a month, you can become one of our executive producers, our EPs. Haha. Just like, who's that? Why? PigDan, Pabsy, Sonikku, SavingThrows, Belgarion, Ratliker63, Dr. Hate PhD, Sertoo, and Butterbeerhawk. We appreciate each and every one of you. That helps offset the costs of hosting and production for this show. But if you're not able to, that's perfectly fine as well. We just appreciate that you're here. And hey, just tell your buddies. They're all welcome. Want to thank once again Altsynth, who is now in the inner circle of editors, for joining us and talking some Ristar today. Gotta thank Jack for editing this episode. Oh yeah. I should probably also thank Smoovies for the Rings of Saturn jingle. Why not? Let's thank everyone. Just like I'm gonna thank Grant and Bo and Grant. Bo and Grant and Bo. I'll thank them over and over again. Why? Because they're here and they're hanging out and we're having a good time. And even though it's the end, we're still having a good time. And when we go our separate ways, we'll remember having a good time. And if they weren't here, well, then I wouldn't be having a good time with them, would I? It's the thing.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
All right.